Well, just in case North Korea didn't get the warning from the U.S., Japan and South Korea, the United Nations is now telling Kim Jong-il to think twice before he tests that nuclear weapon. The leader responded by rallying hundreds of military commanders today, urging them to bolster the North's defenses. Now the UN and the U.S. are left to consider the obvious next question: what happens if they do test a nuke?
The international community would have to look at the world and be concerned that a number of other nations that have the ability to have nuclear weapons might decide that the 21st century is going to, if the 21st century is going to be a period when North Korea or Iran or some other set of countries end up with nuclear weapons, that possibly they ought to have nuclear weapons.
So what do we do? Michael Graham is a radio talk show host at WTKK in Boston. Mike Malloy is a syndicated radio talk show host out of Atlanta. Thank you both.
Glad to be here.
Hey, Amy.
So, Michael, the head of, well, we heard from Assistant Secretary of State Christopher Hill yesterday saying that the U.S. will not live with a nuclear North Korea. A lot of people say we're already living with a nuclear North Korea. So when you draw that line in the sand like that, what does happen when and if North Korea tests that nuclear weapon?
Well, I may be in the minority, but I hope they test it, given the quality of their technology demonstrated this summer, when they're trying to scare us all with their long-range missile program and couldn't hit anything. I mean, North Korean technology makes us long for the automobile industry of the former Yugoslavia. It's perfectly possible they may try to test it, as suspected, this weekend on the anniversary of when Kim Jong-il took his job, and it could fail, which would be tremendously, it would spread hope for the U.S. and for their neighbors, but also wave a red flag to the community around them, China in particular, that, look, you can't keep sitting on the sidelines. We need these six-party talks. We need to keep pressuring North Korea to get involved.
Mike, there are a lot of what-ifs here, but we do know we're dealing with a wild card in Kim Jong-il. Should the American people have any faith that negotiations with him could go smoothly and could be trusted?
Amy, Kim Jong crazy is almost as bad as George W. Bush. We've got an administration in this country that has made it clear it will lie us into a war. We also have George Bush, who I think yesterday came out and said he now has the right to edit, I believe was his word, intelligence reports. So we're in a very precarious situation here. The fact that it's 2006 and we're sitting around talking about the possibility of nuclear war is insane. What needs to be done, I really believe, keep the Bush crime family out of this. Let the other nations, let China, let South Korea, let Russia, and let Japan sit down with this psychopath in North Korea. Let's not bring two psychopaths together. If we do, critical mass occurs and we could have a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Michael,
there's nothing I love better than reasoned discourse with people on the left. By the way, your guest needs to know that what the people who hate George Bush are complaining about is that he is insisting that North Korea sit down with the community. They want to sit down one-on-one. So it would be helpful if you had just a few facts.
Not
Meanwhile,
true.
the Clinton administration sat down. It's completely true. Meanwhile, the Clinton administration did sit down with North Korea.
It's Bill Clinton's
and North
fault.
Korea
Amy,
did what they
it's Bill Clinton's fault. Right. Oh, my God. Once again, it's Bill Clinton's fault. Foley is Bill Clinton's fault. Iran is Bill Clinton's fault. Osama, and now China. Look, George W. Bush, not more than a few months ago, tried to cut a deal with the North Koreans. He promised all sorts of support if they would hold back on their nuclear program. Bush then ordered sanctions against the country. We got two crazy people, maybe a third one here with your guest, but we have two crazy people dealing.
Michael, I'll let you respond to that directly, but I want to ask you, is it surprising at all that the U.S. and the UN, and we've known about this potential problem for quite some time, seems to not really have a plan on what to do when and if, North Korea tests this nuclear weapon?
Well, the problem with North Korea isn't what's not in the plan isn't the nuke part. It's the fact that there are about 100,000 hardened artillery pieces facing Seoul, South Korea, where 10 million people live right now. And in a single strike, you could have 100,000 dead civilians. So that's the real live problem on the ground. But just so your listeners know, viewers know, here's the absolute story on this is that the Bush administration from the beginning has been no two-party talks because you lied to us last time. You told the Clinton administration you'd stop your nuclear program and you didn't. And so we are demanding six-party talks. That's the whole motive. And I don't know anybody, including your loony guest, who thinks anything else will work.
All right.
Amy, as far as South Korea being a target, that is insane. That's the red herring that these right-wing Republicans toss out there. South Korea is not a target. The relatives, oh, laugh, go ahead, moron. The relatives of people in the North live in the South. They're not going to kill their own people. What the Bush crime family is interested in is war, endless war. And if they can get one started in Korea, look, we're still in a state of war with Korea. We have been for 54 years. All they have to do is say, time to start it again.
And it is time to end this now. We are out of time. Mike Malloy and Michael Graham, thank you very much.
Thanks,
we
Amy.
appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, despite that name calling there, we're also watching two big fires.